What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Heck versus Hell, where the truth we tell. I think I might need to change that intro just a little bit. Not the truth we tell part, but what's going on, everybody? You know what should I say? I should say, hey y'all. Hello, good morrow, everybody. I don't know. We'll figure it out. I might just keep it that way. But welcome back once again. Glad to see you on here. This conversation is not planned at all, like most of the other ones, and I really wanted to come on here right now because I had a trigger point come back. I had remembered about something that had happened previously, and we had spoke about in these last two episodes how we were going to get into deeper conversations. Now, this is one of those deep conversations. So, you don't want to miss any parts, because if you do, you're going to have to go back and go like, whoa, I just lost you, even though I wasn't listening and zoned out for 3 seconds. This is going to be a good one. It's going to talk about everything around us, and not like lack of perception, which is huge and definitely something that should be talked about, but it's going deeper into the core of how everything operates. We've had little touches and touch-ups on these certain types of conversations when it comes to quantum physics, when it comes to vibrations, when it comes to everything around us, but we haven't really gone into it and designated an episode for it. Now, one of these things, now I'm only setting this as a ground because I want to tell a story near the end. So I want to make sure that we're all on the same page as to everything around us, okay? I still don't know what this is going to be titled, but if you're watching this already or listening to this already, excuse me, you already know what it's called. Probably a good name. Let's just get into it. So, whenever we think about things around us, we always look at materialistic things. We always overlook the air that we breathe because we can't see it. And we can barely smell it unless there's something putrid in the air, and then we're like, oh, yep, something stinks. But even then, we don't all the way connect it consciously in thinking, oh, there's some chemicals in the air, there's something floating past. Gases are one of the most overlooked materials because they are still tangible in the sense of being able to breathe them. We can still know they are there because we have our five senses, and those are for the materialistic world. Under that materialistic world, that's where we're gonna go into today. Everybody's always talking about law of attraction, law of vibrations, law of resonance, all these laws that don't go deep enough into what it is. They talk about how you could change, which is really, really good, but the understanding why is where it gets good. Like, you can go and get a stopwatch, right? And you can see that a clock ticks, and you can figure out how to utilize it for things like time management, for knowing when to go to sleep, for knowing when to wake up, for knowing when the sun will be setting, all these types of things. Very useful tools, just like these laws. But have you ever wondered how the clock ticks? How it's always ticking? How the stopwatch, pocket watch, how it's constantly moving? And to be honest, I have no idea either. But there are certain things that go and they can time it to the poles when it comes to those watches. I believe so. Don't quote me on this because I'm not very well educated, but I'm pretty sure that there is some type of coherence when it comes to the north and south poles, when it comes to the ticking, when it comes to every second going by. How is every second so perfectly timed? That is what a lot of people don't ask. That's where you start going deep. Okay, so we can go and look at the law of attraction, law of vibration, law of resonance, all these laws, and understand how to utilize them. But how do they work? You see, everything around us is connected. Everything is always vibrating. And that space for vibration is what connects us all. Is what connects us to the ground, is what connects us to the air, is what connects us to the water, miles and miles away or right next to you even. It's what connects us all. You could think of it almost like a force field, if you will. The atmosphere. That's one of the biggest ones, but that one is still not as deep as the quantum field. You see, even in space, they recently found out that there is nothing in space. So double negative, there's something in space. They always talked about how whenever you go to space, that's why you get sucked out. The pressure is so high because there's nothing up there. When they ended up finding out that there actually is. There is things in space. There is a field that connects us all in space. It's what comes out of it, because if you look at the correlation between time, space, and matter, how can there be nothing yet hold something? You know what I mean? So if there is no thing in space, that would also mean that there's no time and space, meaning right whenever you go outside of space, you stop time. Now, it can slow down time if you're going in the certain orbitation and all this other things, but it cannot be outside of time, space. But it cannot be outside the continuum of time, matter, and space. Oh, the Holy Spirit talking right now. So, there is something that connects us all. It doesn't matter how you want to look at it, nothing came out of something. They all had to come at the same time, right? Time, space, and matter. They all had to be one at the same time. So, when you start to understand this, you start to look at the underlying factor. This is what you could call an atmosphere, what you could call a vault, what you can call all types of names. Because even in the deepest depths of the ocean, there is extreme pressure. But the ocean would still be considered a vault. So you can look at this and think, okay, so everything around us is connected. And what they did furthermore on why the law of attraction works is because our heart and our mind in the quantum physics, in the quantum field, is our electromagnetic fields, electromagnets, whatever you want to call them. They are electromagnetic. They are fields. So whenever you have your heart set on something, you attract it. This is why I talk a lot about the heart. This is why Lex talks a lot about the beliefs that you have. She may not say it directly, but that's what she's implying. This is why we go into these certain conversations, because we understand the law of attraction on a deeper scale. So somebody else will just tell you, yeah, okay, well, the law of attraction is basically what you are, you get. Simply put, that's a very oversimplified version of what it is. They don't all the way have an understanding to how all these things work. That is where we're going to go into. Oh man, we just talked about it, getting soul ties and entanglements launched up, and we're ready to kick that off. But we want to go into these certain conversations because this is the depth of what reality is. So there is the materialistic reality, but if it was only materialistic, how could we have a spirit? There would be no such thing. So the quantum field is where our spirit and our mind and our soul is. Ooh, we're getting deep. So that is where you have your belief systems, your subconscious mind, your desires, everything you could think of, your pain, the things you haven't held on to, your past, your tainted soul. This is where the quantum field is, because our bodies are just vessels. Our bodies were made to have their functions. The nervous system to move us, the heart to pump blood, the brain to allow our mind to operate and to control our body. Everything is all about the vehicle whenever we're looking at the physical. So if you look beyond that, step out, and how they say step out of your body and look down at yourself, you start to realize, I am not this body. That's why we've said it many times over. I am not this body. I don't care about this body. I'm still going to maintain it. I'm not going to disrespect it because it still is a gift. But I am not this body. Your identity should not lie in your body. Your belief systems should not lie in what you see, feel, hear, touch, smell. They should not lie in all these external physical factors. Now, we can't say that they don't, because ultimately it's extremely hard to step out of that if you're not putting in enough work. Regardless, even if you are, still really hard to get out of it. It's like a fighter training for a fight. They still have to train really hard for that fight, and it's still going to be a hard fight. It's exactly what it is. So whenever we look at all this, this is where law of attraction comes from. This is where faith comes from. Faith is the law of attraction, right? We'll say that again. We'll say it thousands of other times. Faith is the basis of which these laws are made from, because everybody has their own realities, okay?
Please listen to this special announcement. For the past few months, our DDC and Flip the Switch have been working on something amazing for your spiritual, mental, and emotional growth that can be brought into your physical worlds. And that is the FDS Think and Grow Rich Execution Style Masterclass, which doors are now open. Not only will you gain the clarity, insight, and blueprint form of what you need, along with the enlightenment you've been waiting for, but we are also rewarding you beyond your wildest dreams. That is definitely right. Rewarding you for not only taking the first step into creating a new life and new vision for yourselves and those connected to you, but also rewarding you with an excursion to live out your new hopes and dreams, to rewrite the chapters from your newfound level of life, all while relaxing and enjoying the moment where someone actually spoils you for you taking the initiative to change the game upon your own journey. So if you want to find out more, we'll have a link provided on all our broadcast channels as well as our blog spot and www.realdoubledosechannel.com, so you can get all the insights on how to sign up and get started today. And if you are a business influencer, entrepreneur, or anything under the sun that serves others, you might also want to check this out as well. So you can offer these special packages to give to your clients, friends, customers, students, and loved ones. We'll see you on the flip side. And now back to your favorite show with the RDDC's Double Dose wonderful broadcast channel.
Now, whether you want to believe in what I just said or not, that is still only a portion of what it is, because the quantum field is a spiritual realm. They are one and the same. They just have a scientific name for it. Okay, so just like the sky is really the atmosphere in which we see that changes color, is just scientific names as opposed to what we know them as. So the spiritual world, that is the quantum field. When we start to understand this, we have to see that there will always be opposing factors. Okay? There will always be some kind of opposing factors. So whenever we go into, yes, we're going into these biblical talks again. Whenever we go into understanding the types of conversations that were had within the Bible, we look at over and over every time the adversary was mentioned, whatever you want to call them, Satan, devils, demons, whatever you want to call them, when you look at where they are put, one of the name they are given is the prince of the air, the prince of this world. Because what they do is they utilize these materials. That is the only amount of dominion that they have. They utilize these materials to be able to change our beliefs and stunt us. To be able to stunt us so they can attempt to hide who we truly are. Now that's no excuse, because all they can do is influence us. Okay, whenever you go back all the way to Adam and Eve, some of you may not look at that and say, oh, well, that's not real. Well, look at the story. Okay, they had only one voice to listen to, which was God. Okay, you may not eat from this tree, you can have everything else, don't eat from this tree. Then he made woman out of a man's rib, and then she went and was tested. She was told something else than what God said, than what the Creator said. Okay? They were told an opposing thought, an opposing idea, from which she had the choice whether to believe it or not. Now, the choice that she ultimately made, you can say, was the wrong choice. And she said it was very opposing. It was basically calling God a liar, the Creator a liar, saying, okay, well, did they really say that? Nah, he doesn't. He just doesn't want you to eat from it because they don't want you to be like them. They don't want you to become all-knowing and all-powerful, because then that would give you the factor of becoming your own God, in a sense. And they were tempted. They had all these thoughts, because out of those single phrases, out of those maybe like 2-3 sentences, a lot of thoughts were generated just from those ideas. A lot more ideas were generated. Okay, stay with me. So what had happened was in Eve's head, I can't tell you exactly what she was thinking, but based off of how humans are, based off of how we work, how our thoughts operate, we can make very educated assumptions to what she was thinking. And one of those thoughts could have been, oh, I can have this type of power. God was lying to me. They lied. My husband, Adam, he didn't hear him right. He mistook what he said. He transmuted the conversation incorrectly. He didn't get the right information. But I'm hearing it directly from the one who knows, from the one who's calling the one that told us something a liar. And the Creator never mentioned that there was going to be someone else that had enough knowledge to even tell me that they are a liar. Okay? So all these thoughts were generated. Those could just be a couple of thoughts that came from out of the mind. They became, and that's one of the things, if you look at any of Bob Proctor's works, he goes and he talks about basically whenever you start to think, you hear a little bit of a phrase, you hear a little bit of a sentence, a piece of information that you receive, and you take it and you create thoughts based off of that information. Now what you're doing, because this goes all the way back to the reticular activating system that we talked about. If you haven't heard of those episodes, check out the ones before. This is why I want you to go in chronological order in a sense. If you look at the reticular activating system, we were put with a piece of a tool, I'll say, in our head, in our mind, that allows us to immediately deny certain information that we disagree with. Because if we took in every single piece of information, our head would literally explode. Okay, God can do that. We cannot. We were made with limitations in this flesh. Okay? So, whenever you have a blank canvas, whenever you have a piece in which you haven't even thought about, in which you don't have an idea about, a seed can be planted. Okay? Let's say, for example, you have no idea what aliens are, you never got into those conversations, you don't know whether you believe in them or not. Now, if you go and you hear someone that starts talking about, okay, here's hardcore proof that they are real, showing you videos, showing you all types of proof, speaking this and that, talking about all this stuff that sounds so incredibly true and that your mind can comprehend, that will be your belief. If you go on the opposite side of that, you're still in that same position, you don't know, you never really thought about it, you aren't sure if aliens exist or not, and someone comes out and says, hey, they're not real. You know, that's actually a myth made up from this and this and this. Those are hoaxes, all this, showing all this hardcore proof, then you're going to believe that. See, once you go and you have firm beliefs set on foundations, well, those are the foundations. That's why we have that episode for foundations. Once you have those beliefs in place, then you will have that ability to reject information that you disagree with. And at the same time, you have more thought pattern to reinforce what you know. Now, unfortunately for both of them, they may not have been aware of a snake in the garden. They may not have been aware that there was going to be a presence like that contradicted the only word they've ever heard. But the creators allowed it to be so that we wouldn't be slaves. That was still the free will that he allowed us to have. Let's say he just went and put no snakes in any type of garden. We would have been slaves. We wouldn't have had any type of thoughts in which to think about outside of what he has said. That right there is deep. That in itself is deep. It doesn't allow you to find outside thoughts because his word is law. If there is nothing contradicting it, it's a straight line. There is no wide and narrow. It's just a straight shoot. Okay, so he had to allow there to be a contradiction. We were made to be perfect. We were made in his image. We were made with the free will, and that's where our imperfection comes from. But we were made to be perfect because God can do whatever he wants. We were made in their image. They can go and they can choose to destruct the whole earth with a snap of a fingers if they really wanted to. They don't do that because they are merciful, just, loving, and just great. But they can. They have those capabilities. And one of the deeper foundations that I came to find out that I really, really love is greater is he who has self-control than he who can overtake a kingdom, than he who can overcome a city. Because the power that you have for your self-control to overcome your desires would ultimately overcome any type of sin, any type of evil will, evil thought, any type of selfish ambition. Because of that self-control, we call it discipline. That discipline is what keeps MMA fighters from going out in the streets and just beating everybody up whenever they get the chance. Now, there are some that go and they overexert that, but it's that self-control of not doing it. Because you can easily go and say, I know I can do it, so I'm gonna do it. But knowing that you can do it and letting that power get to your head, that's when it gets difficult. Okay, so let me back up a bit. To go back into the adversary, you can tell we were made perfect, all this other stuff. We are perfect in our spirit because that spirit is a piece of the divine creation. We are all one. We are all connected. Our consciousness may not be on the same level, but whenever you're conscious, the more you elevate, the more you understand, the more you uncover, the higher altitude you have, the more you can look over all that is real. Okay? So whenever we talk about elevation, that's what we mean. It's elevating your altitude, elevating you as a whole. Because whenever your mind and heart elevates, so does everything around you. That's why Lex is so selfless. That's why she is the hardest working person I have ever came across. That's why she is the most selfless person I have ever came across, and serves everyone to the maximum of her capability because of her altitude. So I can tell you right now, okay, just be selfless, don't do anything selfish, all this and that. I can tell you that. But whenever you start elevating, and we put those foundations, we help put those foundations, because all the work comes from God. We can't take the credit. All glory to Him. Whenever we start bringing up those foundations, talking and having these conversations that we're having right now, we can help elevate. We can help the elevation process, and it ultimately becomes selfless. Okay, there is so much scripture, man. I just feel like going into scriptures right now, but we'll go into this conversation because this is the one that I want to have, and it's similar to the hidden ones that we spoke of before. It is okay. I'm gonna just give you a little recap. In that episode that I have hidden and that I have not put out yet. Hey man, I think I really want to put it out very soon. In that episode, I talked about sleep paralysis, demons, and aliens. It was like a 35-40 minute episode. I can't remember. It was a long episode. I went into all of this and the correlation of dreams. Now, this will be a lighter one. I don't want to go too deep, but we've uncovered something very, very deep when it comes to the correlation of dreams, our soul, spirit, and dimensions. Okay, I'm just going to leave that in there, leave you on the edge of your seat, because that will be a conversation we have later down the line. What I wanted to talk about was the dreams that we have, because our dreams can either come from the divine, the adversary, or our subconscious. Whenever we dream, our soul leaves our body, right? That's why whenever you go into certain types of meditation, you are very susceptible to anything. You are susceptible to information going straight into your subconscious mind, because your conscious mind isn't there to reject the information, right? This is how hypnosis works. So you just got a little crash course on hypnosis and on the law of attraction. This is how hypnosis works. If you want to go into looking it up and deeper neurologically how it works, you can look up I think it's theta, your brain state in theta. And that's basically that level whenever you're falling asleep and you are in a hypnosis type state. It's also what happens whenever you're in meditation, whenever you become nothing, whenever you lose surroundings and you don't focus on your life. You focus on your soul, you focus on your spirit. It's the same information, it's the same thing. I need to get better on that, meditating better to the point where I can get there. But that's the same understanding of what it is. It's very similar, and I'd say it's a little different just because whenever you're dreaming, you're not in that state, but you're a little deeper to where you can't really receive information, but it's ready for you to receive in a way. I don't know how to say it. It's already there. It's information that's already there. Whether it's a lie that you believe, a truth that you believe, a lie you need to uncover and get past, or a subconscious feeling that you have towards anything or anyone. I had something that I had to wake up to. I believe it was the second time I got out of jail. Well, let me go back a little bit. Before that, I was already being so busy. I was doing all these types of things. I was doing everything and anything. And just getting out here, making money, focusing on making money, focusing on the next step, focusing on everything else but what I had right then and there. And what I had realized was, whenever I was in jail, it changed my whole perspective, and it took me out of depression just because I started focusing and realizing how much abundance I had around me. I started seeing that I took all these little things for granted. I took even being able to walk outside and get a breath of fresh air for granted, because I was confined behind walls. I took my own privacy, the comfort of my bed, for granted. I took being able to take a shower in private for granted. Being able to take, the bathroom break for granted. I took every single thing for granted, and it allowed me to focus not only on that and have incredible amounts of gratitude, but it also gave me the understanding and seeing that God has always been there. And that was one of the biggest game changers that I had in there. And once I got out, once I stopped having those thoughts, stopped becoming conscious and aware of what I took for granted, becoming grateful and staying in that gratitude state, it kind of fell back, and I backslided into the lifestyle I was already in. And I had a dream, a very profound dream. And this is what reminded me, because there was a bug in my room. There was a fly just buzzing around while I was trying to work, and it just was annoying me, and it clicked. It clicked in my head, and it reminded me. And there was this dream I had. At the time, I was living with all 5 of my siblings, their kids, and my mother and her husband. And those are the things that I took for granted, being able to be around my family. The kids, the little ones, they brought such joy to my life, and it was just a great feeling to be around them. Even if they were little annoying things, it was very fun. It was very grateful. It was gracious. It was very gracious. And whenever I got out and I backslid into it, that's where I was okay. I had that wake-up call, and it was in the form of a dream. I had a dream where my brother, he's older than me. I have one older brother. All the rest of my siblings, the 4 rest of my siblings, they're younger. He was driving a van, and we were on the freeway. He was going really fast. It was a minivan, and for some reason the door was open. The door slang open, and everybody was falling out of the car. He was just speeding super fast. And what had happened was, everyone was just falling out of the car. It was dark and gloomy. I could feel the energy. And the babies rolled out of the car. My niece, she's 5 right now. At the time, I believe she was around 3.5. And the 2 other little ones that were the same age, roughly around the same age, maybe close to a year old. And everyone was just rolling out and falling out. And she had fell out of the car, moving really fast. She just disappeared. And then my nephew, one of my nephews, he also started rolling out. I reached over, tried to catch him. He right out of my grasp. And somehow even my older brother fell out or something, I think. I can't remember exactly detail for detail. But I remember going home to that house, and I was just mad, so frustrated, just wanting to cry, because I was almost powerless, or because I wasn't strong enough to help him, to where I wasn't in the position, just the timing, the distancing, the everything that was going on. It was just so frustrating whenever things are just out of your reach and you can't do anything about it. And I had gone in my room, and for some reason there was huge bugs just coming, and in my room there were flies, big old flies. I want to say like the size of softballs. If you've ever seen a softball, they're maybe like, I don't even know, 4 inches in diameter or something like that. So there were some big flies, and they were just really chugging. I was over here just trying to cry, just trying to upset, and they just kind of swarmed my room a little bit, to where I could still see, it was still visible, but they were just everywhere. And they just didn't allow me to cry. And they were going, and they were just buzzing around, and they were like getting close to me, and one landed on me, and I like swatted it really hard, but it didn't die. It just flew away. Like, the skin was extremely thick, and it would take a lot more than a hard slap to kill it. And then I woke up, and I had realized the way that God always talked to me. God talks to everybody in different ways, different mannerisms. The main way that I was talked to, the main way I was introduced to him, the main way I started being conscious of his existence was through objects, was through certain instances that would either occur, or materialistic things that would divinely be placed in the way. Similar to what people would call luck. How there's bad luck things. Okay, a black cat, for example. If a black cat crosses your path, that's bad luck. Whatever they say, there's no such thing as luck. There's no such thing as coincidences. Everything is beautifully orchestrated. That doesn't mean we don't have free will, but everything happens for a reason. And it just so happens that cats were one of the main factors in which, right after you saw one, it was a warning sign. Not bad luck, but a warning sign. I know this because it happened to me too. Now, that's not to say focus solely on bad luck, good luck, all this other things, because everything can come as a warning. Everything can come as a sign. Animals, certain materials coming off, certain things you lose. And the first thing that I was introduced to as that just hit me very instantaneously was, I had this one bracelet from a previous relationship back whenever I was like 15. So I was a lot younger, 16 maybe. And I remember so vividly, I was playing a video game, and I was just playing it. And at that time, I knew it was kind of the end of the relationship. And because I was not doing what I was supposed to be doing, I was just doing bad. I was over here messing with other females, disrespecting a lot, just horrible. I was horrible. I was in a horrible position. I was just a bad person at that time. And I was playing the game, and out of nowhere, the bracelet I wasn't shaking my hands, I wasn't doing nothing. Out of nowhere, my hand was very still. It just fell off. Just fell off. Like if I unclipped it, and it just slid off my hand, slid off my wrist, very calmly. And immediately in my mind, the thought that I had was, this relationship is over. Like, there was no coming back from it. That was the first time I ever had that happen. And there's been a lot more instances in my life that I need to remember, but that I've came across that signify certain meanings. And one of those is that dream that I had. Whenever I woke up from that dream, the flies, there was certain flies. My room was very clean. I was always very clean, and I never really had a dirty room. Yet there was still flies that would come in my room from time to time, and I had to realize that whenever those flies would come in, it reminded me of that dream. And that dream showed me that life goes by in a flash, to appreciate what I have, So every time, because at that point I was just isolating myself, locking myself in my room, and just enjoying my own privacy because I was in jail. So I had gone and I realized all these things that I was longing for, that I was missing while I was in there, I was once again taking for granted. So I would see those as the Creator nudging me towards appreciating, nudging me towards what I wanted, nudging me towards getting out of my own space and going towards what I wanted, because I was over here taking it for granted. He knows my heart just as He knows your heart. He knows what you need. He knows and understands the desires of your heart. He knows you better than you know yourself. It would take you a very long time to dive into yourself and get to the real root of the problem, but they know it. They know the depth of your heart, the things you don't remember whenever you were a child, the trauma that was built and where it was built from, and how your thoughts formed to create that trauma, how you perceived that experience. All of this. So they knew exactly what to use, how to put that dream in my head, how to plant that seed and allow me to remember and be grateful. So the point of this conversation is, there are always and will always be the good and evil. Whenever you have those deceptions, those lies that you believe in yourself. Lex and I had a conversation about this. Whenever you put a negative connotation next to I am, it's blasphemy, because you were created in God's image. Whenever you say something like I am a horrible person, I am bad, I hate myself, whatever it is, if you put a negative connotation next to it, it's blasphemy, and it creates your reality, because that's where your identity is. So be cautious and weigh everything, reevaluate yourself so deep that you reconstruct yourself. That's what we need to do, because through what you went through, it was very necessary to give you the strength and wisdom of where you are. Me going to jail and going down this horrible path allowed me to see that side and appreciate this side. To see that side, understand how it operates, and fight it on this side. Not just for myself, but for anybody in that lifestyle. For anybody going through something that I know of. Depression. A lifestyle that leads directly to death. All types of trying to hide your pain and emotions and suffering and vices. The separation and trauma that comes from childhood abuse, childhood divorce of parents, broken family, poverty, all these types of things. It brings a sense of understanding, and it gave me that strength. Everything happens for a reason. Everything you went through was not an accident. And it had a purpose. Just as you have a purpose. Everything happens for a reason. And you choose by your free will. If you choose to look at that and say, hey, this happened to me, instead of looking at it and seeing that you're still alive, that you made it through, that you are much stronger now. Now that you are going on this side, everything else that doesn't go in alignment to where you want to be, that goes against the word of God, is the adversary, is the influence that strays you from perfection, that strays you from enlightenment, that strays you from elevation. that tries to stunt you. Because the adversary back, whenever in Adam and Eve's time, he knew that God had said, if you sin, you die. If you eat from the tree, you will surely die. All these types of things. He knew that and manipulated it and tried to make it be. Just because he wants to stunt you. Because you were more powerful than they are. You were more powerful than anything that comes against you. Therefore, brethren, if God is for us, then who can be against us? Whew. Sit on that. Sit on everything that was just said. Listen to it over and over again. I'm going to have to listen to this myself. I already know it. Because half of this conversation, I know I was being used. I love you. I really love you. I appreciate you taking the step forward to listen to these types of episodes, to evaluate and elevate yourself, just as you listen to Lex. Just as you continuously learn to grow and actually take in what we do. If you're just listening to this to try to hate or do some type of negative impact towards what we're doing, I still love you. And I hope this message impacts you just as it does those who listen. You were all purposed, each and every single one of you.
Please listen to this special announcement. For the past few months, our DDC and Flip the Switch have been working on something amazing for your spiritual, mental, and emotional growth that can be brought into your physical worlds. And that is the FDS Think and Grow Rich Execution Style Masterclass, which doors are now open. Not only will you gain the clarity, insight, and blueprint form of what you need, along with the enlightenment you've been waiting for, but we are also rewarding you beyond your wildest dreams. That is definitely right. Rewarding you for not only taking the first step into creating a new life and new vision for yourselves and those connected to you, but also rewarding you with an excursion to live out your new hopes and dreams, to rewrite the chapters from your newfound level of life, all while relaxing and enjoying the moment where someone actually spoils you for you taking the initiative to change the game upon your own journey. So if you want to find out more, we'll have a link provided on all our broadcast channels as well as our blog spot and www.realdoubledosechannel.com, so you can get all the insights on how to sign up and get started today. And if you are a business influencer, entrepreneur, or anything under the sun that serves others, you might also want to check this out as well. So you can offer these special packages to give to your clients, friends, customers, students, and loved ones. We'll see you on the flip side. And now back to your favorite show with the RDDC's Double Dose wonderful broadcast channel.
I hope y'all have a blessed day. Once again, I'm going to have the link down below so you can get in your business and start creating, because we are mini creators. Little creators, mini creators, whatever you want to call them. I'm going to have the link. So that's 2 weeks. Scratch that. That's 1 week and a couple days, not 2 weeks. 1 week and a couple days away. On August 28th, you should see the sign up link down below, basically to make sure you're getting all the emails, all the updates. Don't worry, we're not having it be paid or anything like that. Just show up. I want to see at least 10 of you there. At least. It'd be great if 50 of you showed up. Whatever it may be, hopefully we can sustain the amount of you that come on. But we would love to see you there, interact with one another, and you get to see us live. You get to see Lex live. You get to see us in the flesh and just be there with us, experiencing it. And if you are trying to start, as who it is meant for, start your business, you're in a business as an entrepreneur, or you are a business owner, MLM, salesperson, whatever it may be, whatever category of business you are in, even if you're over here in a business that you're really passionate about and you want to make sure it gets to its highest level possible, be there so you can get that information and apply those principles into your business area. Because it is called How to Dominate Your Business Space. So we will be dropping amazing jewels, great credit. We're going to be doing a little bit of a giveaway style thing to it. I don't want to spoil that too much. You'll see if you're there. And it's just going to be awesome. As the ad had also said, the little our presentation person had said, we will be having something beyond your wildest dreams. And if you want a hint, let's just call it a little bit of a sabbatical exclusivity. Okay, so be there or be square. I love you all. I hope you each have a blessed rest of your day, weekend, week, and month. And I hope to see you there. As always, we'll catch you on the flip side. This is Hector Rivera with RDDC's Heck vs. Hell, where the truth we tell.